Charlie know that Cabot Phillips was Erika's ex-boyfriend when he was playing him one-on-one, and he posted the picture that he won and he never gets tired of winning? Because tell me why Cabot is now an editor at the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro.
Let's go through some of the books you have on your shelf, shall we? In the Name of the Children, an FBI agent's relentless pursuit of the nation's worst predators. So you know what pizza means, Cabot.
Anyways, I send him the picture of Cabot Phillips, and he says, yes, that's the person I remember being at the base.
Imagine stumbling across a casual comment online that reads, "Pizza talk is the new pillow talk." At first glance, it feels like nothing more than a random social media remark, the kind people post every day without much thought. But for those who began combing through old posts, archived photos, and forgotten timelines, that single sentence started to feel strangely significant. And that's where the curiosity began to grow. While watching past footage, some viewers noticed a bookshelf sitting behind Cat Phillips. On it were several books whose titles quickly caught attention. One of them, In the Name of the Children asterisk, tells the story of an FBI agent relentlessly pursuing some of the most dangerous predators in the country. Another book explores the history of Israel's targeted assassination operations. Nearby were other titles diving into the unusual science of human cadavers and the darker edges of human history. Individually, none of these books are unusual. Plenty of people read investigative nonfiction, political history, or true crime stories. But when people online placed those details alongside everything else they had been discovering, the bookshelf suddenly became another small clue in a much larger narrative. Because the real discussion isn't about books at all. It's about timing, relationships, and a chain of coincidences that many internet observers believe deserve a closer look. At the center of the conversation is the complicated dynamic between Charlie, Erika, and Cat Phillips. Old posts, resurfaced comments, and previously overlooked photos suggest that Erika and Cat may have been close long before Erika ever crossed paths with Charlie. Friends, remarks, shared outings like painting dates, and even images showing Cat spending time with Erika's family have all resurfaced across different platforms. Some of those details date back to 2017. But that timeline introduces a puzzling contradiction. Erika has previously said that she had not dated anyone for 5 years before meeting Charlie in 2018. That statement is where many observers say the timeline begins to feel confusing. Because during September of 2017, the same period when those painting dates allegedly occurred, Cat Phillips was also seen playing basketball with Charlie. At that time, Charlie appeared to treat Cat as someone within his trusted circle, inviting him to events connected to Turning Point and including him among the people involved in the organization's conferences. There is even footage from a 2016 winter retreat in West Palm Beach, where Charlie introduces Cat Phillips as one of the speakers addressing hundreds of student leaders about government and political issues. That moment confirms that Cat was already connected to Charlie's network years before Charlie and Erika supposedly met. So the question many people now ask is straightforward. If Erika had been involved with someone who was already moving within Charlie's professional circle, how could she later claim that she had no idea who Charlie was when she first interviewed with him in 2018? Erika has shared a story explaining how she once noticed Charlie standing in an airport line. She said he looked familiar, but she didn't approach him because she didn't want to appear awkward. Later, she realized they had even been in Israel at the same time during a trip. She described the situation as one of those strange moments of fate. However, critics examining the timeline argue that when all the dates are placed side by side, the situation begins to look less like coincidence and more like overlapping connections that were never publicly acknowledged. Fast forward to the present day, and the story becomes even more complicated. Charlie is gone. Erika now holds a leadership position within Turning Point, and the individual appearing on campus stages as part of the How to Lead Like Charlie tour is Cat Phillips, the same person many believe had a past relationship with Erika years earlier. For some observers, that decision seems unusual. Others describe it as deeply uncomfortable. And for the most vocal commentators online, it opens the door to larger questions about what might have been happening behind the scenes long before the public became aware of any of these connections. Speculation has grown even further with rumors suggesting that Charlie may have discovered issues within his marriage shortly before his death. Some people claim he was considering changes to his will. None of these claims have been verified, yet they have continued to circulate widely on social media. Then another controversial claim entered the conversation. A former Special Forces operative named Mitch Snow alleged that both Erika and Kat were seen attending a meeting at Fort Huachuca only days before Charlie died at UVU. As with many other elements of the story, this allegation remains unconfirmed. Still, it has fueled even more online debate and speculation. Another factor drawing attention is Kat's background. He didn't simply appear in conservative media out of nowhere. His father, Tim Phillips, spent years leading Americans for Prosperity, a powerful political advocacy organization connected to the Koch network. Under his leadership, AFP grew into a major force within American politics, mobilizing millions of activists, influencing elections, and funding large-scale campaigns across dozens of states. Before heading AFP, Tim Phillips was also involved in political strategy work in Washington and had connections to the broader lobbying world during the Jack Abramoff era. His career helped shape the modern model of political advocacy groups capable of moving enormous amounts of influence behind the scenes. Because of that history, when people watch Kat stepping onto stages and filling roles previously associated with Charlie, they don't just see another commentator. They see someone who grew up inside the world of political power structures and influence networks. At the same time, internet researchers claim that portions of Kat's social media activity began disappearing shortly after attention focused on the alleged connection between him and Erika. Whether those changes mean anything significant is unclear, but the timing only intensified speculation. When observers place all these details together, the rumored past relationship, the overlapping timelines, the leadership transition, resurfaced photos, and the political connections through family, the entire situation begins to look, at least to some people watching closely, like a complicated story stretching back years. Whether those pieces truly connect is still uncertain. But one thing is undeniable. The more people revisit old posts, archived videos, and forgotten timelines, the more new details they believe they are uncovering. And with every new piece that surfaces, the mystery surrounding the story seems to deepen rather than fade. Looking at everything that has appeared online so far, the resurfaced comments, the archived photos, the conflicting timelines, and the quiet changes to social media accounts, one conclusion becomes difficult to ignore. This story may still be unfolding. For months, fragments of information have been scattered across the internet. A single comment here, an old photograph there, a date that suddenly doesn't match the narrative people once accepted. At first, those fragments looked disconnected, but as more people began comparing them, a larger pattern started to emerge. And that pattern raises difficult questions. Questions about relationships that may have existed long before they were publicly acknowledged. Questions about how certain individuals were connected privately while presenting entirely different stories to the public. Questions about influence, loyalty, and the networks that operate quietly behind political movements. None of these observations prove anything on their own. But when enough details appear to align, people naturally begin wondering whether the original narrative told to them was the complete story. The internet has fundamentally changed how stories evolve. In the past, powerful organizations and media outlets could shape public narratives with little resistance. If something uncomfortable surfaced, it could be ignored or quietly pushed aside. Today, however, information rarely disappears so easily. Ordinary individuals with access to digital archives can examine years of online history in a single evening. They revisit conference recordings. They search for deleted tweets through archives. They compare timestamps on photos and posts that once seemed insignificant. They listen carefully to interviews given years apart and analyze whether the timelines still match. In many ways, modern investigations are no longer limited to journalists. They happen across thousands of screens around the world. Still, that kind of collective attention comes with responsibility. Curiosity should never turn into reckless speculation. Real understanding requires patience, verifying facts, checking sources, and separating documented evidence from rumor. That's why the most important thing people can do now is remain thoughtful and attentive. Ask careful questions. Examine the timelines. Look at the evidence directly rather than relying only on viral clips or headlines. History has shown repeatedly that the first version of a story is rarely the last. As new information appears, narratives shift. Sometimes they expand. Sometimes they collapse completely. Major scandals throughout history often began with something small, a single inconsistency that someone refused to overlook. The truth rarely arrives all at once. More often, it emerges gradually, piece by piece. And that is exactly why moments like this matter. The next piece of information, whether it is an archived post, an old interview, or a new witness speaking publicly, could dramatically change how this entire story is understood. One thing the internet has proven over and over again is that it has a very long memory. Posts believed to be forgotten can resurface years later. Statements that once sounded harmless can look very different when placed next to new context. Even the smallest detail can become important when the broader timeline becomes clearer. So this moment may represent a turning point. Either the questions eventually fade and the original narrative remains unchanged, or the pressure continues building until someone addresses the inconsistencies directly. Transparency tends to surface eventually. The only uncertainty is how long it takes. For those following the story, the most important step now is simply to remain aware and continue observing how the situation develops. Stay curious. Pay attention to the details. And remember that sometimes the difference between coincidence and revelation is simply the willingness to keep looking a little deeper.